Hi, I'm Larry Dukes, and welcome to the Harford Sports Report.
Hi, and I'm Tony Lombardi, and Larry and I will be your hosts this season on the Harford Sports Report. We'll be bringing you stories that resonate, stories about Harford County, stories that will make you proud to be a Harford County resident.
And we're not just going to cover the traditional marquee sports like basketball, football, and baseball. We're going to bring you all types of sports here in the county. We're going to talk to you about things like gymnastics and equestrian and other swimming and other areas that you may not have seen the sports happening in our county.
In addition to that wide breadth of sports, we're going to be looking at the people behind the sports, the people that actually are part of the stories, that make the story, those people that have the special innate qualities that allow them to overcome obstacles, to overcome adversity, and perform uncommon acts.
And also, maybe we should tell a little bit about ourselves. My background is in the sports area. I've run a few youth sports organizations, and I've also been a coach. An athletic director at John Carroll for 12 years, and now still involved with youth sports as a coach. So we're going to bring you the perspective from all those different types of positions and more.
And I've been involved in sports my entire life, but I haven't been like Larry involved in it professionally until recently. Actually, recently, Larry, it's been now 15 years since we started Ravens 24/7, which is now Russell Street Report. You know, once I said to my kids, do what you love and love what you do. Now I'm doing that, bringing you sports, and we're looking forward to doing that this season on Harford Sports Report. Okay, so that's us in a nutshell. Let's talk about this month's episode of the Harford Sports Report.
First, we're going to get to visit at the Harford Swim Championships, the Summer League Championships. Each year, over 800, 900 swimmers come together after a sprint of a season that's only 6 to 8 weeks long and show their talent at the swim championships at 3 different pools.
And Ravens fans, they're passionate, and they're passionate about more than just the team. They're passionate about the Harford County community. We're going to talk to Ravens Nest 1 and get their impressions of Harford County and what they're doing to help your community. Also, we'll be talking to a student athlete who's been a beneficiary of what Ravens Nest 1 has done, and we'll touch down on the things he's done since being awarded the Bud Bitzer Award and what he's done in college since.
Okay, so let's go swimming, Tony.
Let's go swimming.
So we said we would cover sports like competitive swimming. What distinction does Harford County and Harford County Swim League have in this sport? Well, for several of our nation's best swimmers and a couple of the world's best, it all began in our county. The world's most decorated athlete, Michael Phelps, began swimming in the North Harford Middle School pool. His sisters, Hillary and Whitney, who went on to Olympic trials in 1996, held records at the North Harford Swim Club and held them up until just a few years ago. They also held league records. Just last week, Chase Kalish won the Pan Pac Championships after winning the U.S. Championships and is now on his way to the World Championships, ranked as the #1 swimmer in the world in the 400 IM. He was a Harford Swim League participant at the Fallston Swim Club and still holds 3 records in the league. His sister, Courtney, also a Fallston swimmer, went to Olympic trials in 2004 and 2008. For these swimmers, and many more, it all begins with an 8-week sprint of a season in our community pools of Harford County.
Each year, the Harford Swim League has its members bid on hosting its championships. This year, Bel Air Athletic Club and the Aberdeen Swim Center on Saturday won the bids, and Fountain Green Swim Club had their honors on Sunday. The distinction between the 2 days is the separation of athletes by seat times throughout the regular dual meet season. The top teams compete on Sunday, and the rest go on Saturday. This works well for the competitors since most of the Sunday swimmers are year-round competitors on their club teams or high schools, while the Saturday competition is primarily swimming in just the summer swim season. No matter, because the same array of medals is awarded both days. The league has been in existence for over 40 years in the county, with clubs spread from Joppatown to Aberdeen to Fallston and North Harford. It is made up of programs associated with rec councils like Emberton, North Harford, and Joppatown. Health and wellness businesses like the Bel Air Athletic Club and the Arena Club. Private swim clubs like Falston, Valley Brook, and Maryland Golf. Community pools like Bell Camp, Rock Spring, Aberdeen, and Fountain Green, and a swim school called Aqua. Each day of the championships, 61 events are swum. Swimmers compete at distances of 25, 50, and 100 meters or yards depending on their age group. Girls and boys compete separately except for some of the combined relays at the end. All 4 competitive strokes are swum at all ages including freestyle, the crawl stroke, backstroke, breaststroke, and butterfly. Swimmers 9 and older also compete in the individual medley, which is 1 length or lap of the pool of each stroke. My favorite is the butterfly because it combines a powerful kick, strong body coordination, and a graceful stroke.
Wow, Larry, that was an incredible story. Swimming is becoming so popular. Why is it so popular in Harford County?
Well, Tony, I think it really comes down to 3 things. First, infrastructure. The league is really, really sound when it comes to having a solid infrastructure. Back in the day, it was just the Harford YMCA and Edgewood. Now it's grown, and it starts with swim schools. You have aquaculture, and you have the Kids First Swim School, and then you have all these community pools in the summer league, have a great high school program, and you have club programs that really take it to the next level. So that coupled with coaching. A lot of these kids that were swimmers back in the day have developed into great coaches.
Yeah, I didn't even know Phelps was a Harford County participant in swim teams.
Yeah, Michael Phelps started at North Harford Middle School pool, but his sisters were really involved in the county. Michael got a lot of notoriety and a lot of his success when he moved down to Towson.
Okay.
There were great coaches here in the county now, and that history of success. You talk about Phelps, the Kalishes, Jim Bourne, people like that get success in a sport. Everybody wants to be like them. The old "I want to be like Mike" for Michael Jordan.
Absolutely.
And so now everybody wants to be like Mike or Michael Phelps.
Hey, and I'm sure our viewers are thinking the same thing, and they're probably wondering how can they get their kids involved in some of these swim clubs.
Well, it really begins if they haven't been in the pool before and they need lessons. It begins with the swim schools. So whether it's at the local athletic club or it's Kids First or aquaculture, they're the places to start. Now, if your child has had swim lessons, then it's the summer program. That's where it's at. So you want to find a community pool. You can go online to harfordswimleague.org or check out our website because we'll have the results of the swim meet on it and see where to get started in swimming.
Great stuff, great stuff. So we're going to go from the pool to the gridiron. We're going to talk a little bit about Ravens fan clubs when we come back. Don't go away. When the Colts were in town, large groups of fans popped up throughout the Baltimore metropolitan area. They called themselves Colts Corrals. Now, since then, the Colts have been in Indianapolis longer than they were in Baltimore. That may surprise some of you folks, but it hasn't tempered the enthusiasm of local area fans. When the Browns moved to Baltimore in 1996, shortly thereafter, large groups of fans popped up not only in the metropolitan area, but throughout the United States. They call themselves Ravens Nest. Here with us today is the president of Ravens Nest One. His name is Pat Wright. Pat, welcome into the Harford Sports Report.
Thank you, Tony.
Tell us a little bit about the Ravens Nest, because I think a lot of our listeners and our viewers would think that it's probably, if they are familiar with it, would think it's just a fan group. But tell us a little bit about what the Ravens Nest is all about and how it started.
Well, basically how it started was we actually were a Colts Corral back in 1995 when the Baltimore Stallions were here. Doug Phillips, our founder, he basically started the group, and I answered a little mini ad in the Aegis, me and a buddy of mine, and that's how we attended our first meeting, and then we ended up joining the group shortly thereafter. Basically, we have 45 members to start, and even at that time, basically we are a social group, but community service is a big thing of ours. Even back then, we adopted the Arc of Northern Chesapeake, and we still continue to support that charity even today. So after that, the Ravens decided to come to town, or the Browns as the Ravens, and then we became actually, we were a Roost for a short period of time. And then Doug Phillips decided that we would form Ravens Nests because his vision was to have them all across the country. We've had them in Las Vegas, London, South Carolina, New Jersey, as well as here in the Baltimore area. So here again, it's basically threefold. We are a social group mainly, but also we cheer for the Ravens. That's the second thing. And then thirdly, community service is very important to us. And over the years, we have actually expanded the community service that we actually do through our charities, through our road cleanup, and also through our Bud Bitzer Scholarship Program.
Now, get specific, if you could, with some of the community activities you guys do. Who's benefiting? Where in Harford County do these activities take place?
Basically, what happens is we have a bull roast that is in November. It's coming up soon. And basically, 51% of that bull roast goes to what we call our charity committee. And basically, at that point, our number one, I call it our core charity, the Arc of Northern Chesapeake. We're doing again this year, we're giving them $2,000 to sponsor the Sprout Festival, which is also in November. But also, we do other donations throughout the county. They go from $75 up to $500. Usually the budget that we have is close to $5,000. So we really can make an impact in Harford County. We sponsor the needy. We sponsor the Harford Center. Empty Stocking Fund, some local ones that you are familiar with, but also there are some that you're not familiar with, because each member can make a charity request, and then it goes to a committee, and then we decide if it's worthy cause of what we are trying to do. Like, for example, we do not sponsor sports teams, as crazy as that might be.
Like rec leagues and things like that?
Nope, we do not do rec leagues. We are more in the community service, the charity. We want to help people in the county, and that's basically what we do.
Now, one of the things you do with student athletes in the area is this Bud Bitzer Foundation. And the Bud Bitzer Foundation, for those watching, is a group or a foundation that supports local area student athletes in high school. They're football players. Talk a little bit about the Bud Bitzer Foundation, how it was founded, and how it benefits the community and the kids within the community.
Well, it was named after Bud Bitzer because it was actually his dream to have a scholarship program. He always talked about it at the meetings. He passed away, I think, in the early 2000s, and after that, a group of us decided that we would go ahead and try to fulfill his dream. And that's basically what we have been doing for the last 18 years. So basically, all the schools in Harford County nominate an individual to receive an award, as well as John Carroll High School. We added them as well. And basically what each student has to do is fill out an essay. And then we do have an independent judging committee that actually determines the monetary amounts. So there are low monetary amounts, I believe, starting at either $500 or $750, and I think we go up to $3,500, which is basically $12,500 a year. And also over the years, we've done $180,000 in donations to athletes that are graduating and going to college.
Now I notice you have your Ravens Nest One polo shirt on, and that's a handsome looking shirt. Now talk a little bit about how you guys do things like this, how you take Ravens trips together. I know you have a lot of fun as a group, and sometimes as a group you get to do better things than if you try to do so individually. Talk about those experiences and why some of our viewers may be interested in joining Ravens Nest One.
Right, Ravens Nest One is, like I say, a social group. I mean, we do a lot of community service stuff, like I say. But really, if you want to find new friends, cheer for the common bond is the Baltimore Ravens. So if you are a Ravens fan, feel free to come see us. We have basically what I call our business meeting the second Thursday of every month at 510 Johnny's, starting at 7 o'clock. To be a member, it's $20 a year for an individual, $35 for a couple. We do have a small meeting fee, but you do get adult beverages for that, and you can meet a lot of people. Right now, our membership's at 82. We are hoping to build that back up. And I think we will. We are doing some very neat things. Like we have guest speakers every month, like Tony Lombardi has been to our meeting in the last few months. And we will continue to have guest speakers every month. Right now we have our Vice President, Stan Sims. He's working with the Baltimore Ravens right now, actually with a cheerleading coordinator. They are going to provide some speakers to show us some behind the scenes about the cheerleading. We just had Real Fan Dan, everybody knows Dan, with his shirt off at the stadium. We are getting Len Burrier, Big Wheel. That
the original Big Fan.
Yep, so he's going to talk about
He was even before Wild Bill.
Yeah, that's correct. And so he's coming to one of our meetings. And so anyway, there's a lot of neat stuff going on. Basically, our email address is ravensnest, R-A-V-E-N-S, nest01 at AOL.com. So you can email us or come to our meetings. Just show up. It's free for anybody to show up for the first time to experience it, and we'd be welcome to have you. 510 Johnny's. Okay. Second Thursday of the month, starting at 7 o'clock.
I did want to get back to Bud Bitzer before we take off.
Sure.
And that the Bud Bitzer Foundation, you know, I've been a part of it for the last couple of years in terms of being a judge. And one of the things that I always walk away with are how involved in the Harford County community these kids are. Because when I was 16 and 17 years old, I was thinking about sports and girls, got to be honest here. So I wasn't thinking about how to be involved in the community. But these are special, special kids. As the president of Ravens Nest One, talk about how watching these kids grow and evolve, how that really resonates with you and the Ravens Nest members.
It is incredible. In fact, we do encourage Bud Bitzer winners to come back and talk to us and tell us about their experiences. Everybody has a good thing to say about how the Bud Bitzer Scholarship Program has helped them in their college career. So we encourage all that. And the one thing about the Bud Bitzer program is in most scholarships, it's how well you do in sports, not this one. This one has to do with how you are as a well-rounded individual, sportsmanship on your team, that kind of thing, as well as the community service. And that's what we look for in the essays that you judge.
Yeah, and Pat and I have talked about this before. It really is very similar to the Ed Block Courage Awards in the NFL.
That's right.
So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to visit with the 2012 recipient of the Bud Bitzer Award. His name is Chad Hall. So don't go away. This is the Harford Sports Report.
Looking for something to do? Check out Live at Harford Community College, a new resource that provides info about all cultural and community events on campus in one convenient location. HCC offers a wide variety of events, from national touring acts to jazz, magic, ballet, art and history exhibits, lectures, and more. A new interactive website can be searched by date, location, and event type. Information is also available on Facebook and Twitter. Visit us online today.
We just visited with Pat Wright from Ravens Nest One, and during that interview we talked about the Bud Bitzer Award. Visiting with us now is the recipient from 2012, Chad Hall. Welcome in, Chad. How are you?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Great. The Bud Bitzer Award, as we talked about with Pat Wright, is an award that is presented to high school student athletes who excel in the classroom, they're involved in the community, and they're also leaders on the football team. Talk about your experience with the Bud Bitzer Foundation and why you thought you were given that award.
Sure. So back in 2012, I was nominated by my head coach at the time, Coach Josh Mason. And during that time, it was our best record of Patterson Mill. At that time, we were only 3 years old as a school. We went 9-1. I led the team in tackles on defense, kind of put together a film study with the defensive group, was kind of really just the leader on defense there, and it paid off for us both defensively and offensively, and I mean, we had a great year.
Can you cover from the inside linebacker position? Because the Ravens could use you.
I would say coverage is probably my weakest point, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay. What was the most valuable lesson you learned from the high school days as a student athlete and learning from your coaches and student and teachers?
Probably perseverance. I mean, with football, it's both physically and mentally challenging. I mean, you're taking a beating in practice and just kind of pushing through that every day. And I've really kind of carried that on throughout my professional life, and just really, I always look and say, all right, if I can make it through high school football and practice, like I can make it through anything really. So I've just kind of taken that and applied it to no matter what I'm having problems with. I can kind of always struggle through it and look back and say, you know what, I can always make it.
Speaking of looking back, hindsight being 20/20, if you could give student athletes some words of wisdom from your experience,
Sure.
What would you tell them today?
I think the most important thing is probably to be coachable and to always be willing to learn. Soak in as much knowledge as you can from your coaches and see if you can apply it as best as you can and as quick as you can. I think that takes you very far, both athletically and professionally, and it can really be applied in anything.
So the application for Chad Hall, what are you up to these days?
Sure, yeah. So after receiving the award in 2012, I went to Grove City College, just north of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So I was a business
Were you
management
wearing your
major.
purple when you were up there?
I was. It was nice. My freshman year, the Ravens won the Super Bowl, so I had some bragging rights then. And then I graduated in 2016 with a bachelor's of science degree in business management. And then I started working at Tesco Technologies. So I'm currently still there. I'm in their IT department, and I'm a business analyst for them. So.
Now, I know, speaking from my experiences, what I first started to do when I got out of college wasn't exactly what I wanted to do life term.
Yep.
So looking out at your long range, and not to get you in trouble with Tesco, but looking at your lifelong
Sure.
goals and ambitions, talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, so I think within the next year or two, I'd like to get my MBA and just continue to grow as more of a managerial role and just continue to progress. I'd like to stay at Tesco for a while. I've had great success and great opportunities there, and I've really enjoyed it. So that's pretty much it for me.
Well, there you have it, folks. The 2012 Bud Bitzer Award recipient, Chad Hall. Chad, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about next month's show here on the Harford Sports Report. Don't go away.
I realized that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Tony, there was really interesting stuff that came about the Ravens Nest One right here in Harford County being the very first one, and Pat alluded to the number of folks in the organization dwindling.
The membership, yeah.
Yeah, the membership. What do you think that's all about?
Well, if you look at M&T Bank Stadium and the fan turnout last season, that very last game against the Bengals, that was essentially a playoff game, and by my eyeball test, that was probably about 15, 20,000 empty seats. You never saw that before at M&T Bank Stadium. So I think it's a culmination of a few things. I think, number one, the team lacks an identity right now. They had a strong identity, the bullies of Baltimore, that kind of thing going on when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed were around. So they've lost an identity. They don't have that star power right now with the team. They've been out of the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons. And here's the real sensitive part, Larry. The thing with the kneeling last year, when I've made presentations to Ravens Nest and Ravens Roost, they almost all begin those meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. They're a very patriotic group, and they took that to heart. So Pat maybe didn't mention the numbers, but he mentioned to me off camera, they dropped from 200 members at their peak to 83 right now.
Wow.
And I think that's indicative of what's going on in the NFL. So I think it's a culmination of a lot of things here in Baltimore, and those things being part of it.
What's going to bring them back, Tony?
I think winning brings them back.
Yeah, it's kind of the cure to a lot of professional sports woes, right?
It is, and when you look at what the Ravens have done this offseason, they can't win yet because they haven't taken the field. But they've done a lot of things in the community. They're always busy in the community. They've done things that are fan-friendly. They've made cuts in concession prices. They've added some creature comforts to the stadium. They've given fans things in the mail that they haven't been, season ticket holders. So I think you add it all up, they're really trying hard, but the thing they have to do the most is win.
Wow. And amazing, you mentioned community service. What Pat and his group do in the community. I had no idea.
That's what they're all about. I mean, people think that they're just a fan group that get together, have a few beers, and socialize with each other. And they are a social club first, like he said. But the things that they do in the community, the time that they give to the community in Harford County, I think that's really impressive. And lives have benefited. And we had a chance to sit down with Chad Hall. He's one of them.
Well, what an impressive young man. Someone that started at Patterson Mill High School as a football player when Patterson Mill was practically brand new.
Right.
Went on to Grove City and to college, and now works for Tesco. An impressive young man as a professional. All got his start with the Bud Bitzer Award. Tell us a little bit more about your impressions of the Bud Bitzer piece.
Well, they have this banquet every year. It's at Richland Ballroom, right there in Edgewood, right off of I-95. And it's a really impressive presentation. Scott Garceau is the MC. They usually have a Ravens player, somebody attached to the Ravens. Eric DeCosta's been there before. And it's just a nice banquet. And I equated, or the analogy I use to tell people a little bit about the banquet is that it's just like the Ed Block Courage Award, but for the 11 schools in Harford County, 11 high schools. And so each of the high schools is represented by one unsung hero, of that particular football team, Chad being one of them. These kids are involved in the community. They're leaders in the classroom. They're leaders in the locker room, and they're just really impressive young kids, and I think Chad showed that today.
And in every one of those schools, including John Carroll, it's a private school, everyone gets some size of scholarship, yes?
They do, and these players that they choose to give those scholarships to, they're not always the best players. They're the guys that are the grinders, the guys that the Baltimore, the Kelly Greggs of high school football, the guys that make the most out of their talent, and they just they put the team first, and I think that's a big reason why they're chosen by their respective schools' coaches.
Wow. So our first show, that is our show for this week. Please join us next month for our second in the series of shows here on the Harford Sports Report.
Can't wait to see you guys next month.